So, welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast. Liam Manning is set to be confirmed as the new Oxford United head coach, and I'm really excited. I don't know if you can tell. If you can't tell now, don't worry, because in this episode, I'm going to break down my instant reaction, how he could potentially set up Oxford United, his key principles, and what this means for the football club in the short term and the long term. But I'm excited. I really, really am. Did I see it coming? I don't think anybody did. It was all over the shop when it comes to potential candidates, but it's been confirmed, pretty much confirmed. This will be out when it's confirmed. Liam Manning will be the new Oxford United manager. If you like this type of content, please do leave a like. I'm excited. And like I said, if you can't tell, you probably will tell by the end of the episode. Please do subscribe as well. And let's just have a little look at what Liam Manning is like as a manager. I think his style of play, his principles, his ambitions as a coach fits this football club so well. And I might be in the minority. I'll be totally honest, I might be in the minority because I've seen a little bit of, I'll use the word snobbery around Twitter or on Twitter, which I think is a very dangerous place to sort of get all of your footballing opinions. It can be very helpful, but it also can be quite unsure, to be quite frank. But I think part of that is because a certain man who I think I would have also backed, in fact I know I would have backed, didn't get the job. But we've got to look past that. We've got to look past that and we've got to look at what we are dealing with. And we are dealing with somebody who I do think is a top coach. He's a top coach. He's been described by many as a methodical coach who knows exactly what he wants from his players. You can see through interviews, through different media work that he's done in the past, he's so switched on, he's so intelligent. And I come back to the word principle. He clearly has those principles. And they're really, really exciting. They're fascinating. I'm going to use those words quite often during this episode. And of course, compared to other candidates, he might not be as experienced. However, last season, his first season in League One, that MK Don side, his MK Don side, was playing some absolutely incredible, exceptional football. It was front-footed, it was high-pressing, it was so exciting to just watch. It just clicked. It really, really did click. The recruitment was spot on. And importantly, it got results. They finished third in the league. They got knocked out by Wycombe in the semi-final of the playoffs, which was unfortunate. But even through all of that, he stuck to his principles. He stuck to the way that he wants his side to play. And it worked. Of course, the second season was a little bit of disaster. He got the sack in December time. Scott Twine, Harry Darling, though, was sold. Those two were so influential. Selling those players in the summer, which we understand wasn't really down to his decision. It'd be weird if it was down to his call. Selling those was such a massive blow and left two gaping holes in his side. When he's got the tools, when he's got the ingredients, which, again, we'll come on to how he's going to set up this Oxford United side this season, because there will be some arguments to suggest he hasn't got those ingredients right now. When he has got them, when he has got those tools, when he's got his squad, there's no doubt he got them playing some pretty fantastic stuff. Now, there is snobbery, and I don't want to touch on the negatives because that isn't what we're on about here. I'm excited. I don't know if you can tell I'm speaking at a quicker rate. I'm bubbly. I'm smiling about my football club, which is a little bit refreshing, very refreshing, actually. But there is a little bit of snobbery, and I don't really like it. I don't get it. It seems as though there was a man in mind for this job, and I'm not going to mention the name, and of course he hasn't gone and got the job. We can't be so critical about an appointment without even seeing him manage a game. And even after one game, it's just stupid, it's naive, it's unfair. This man will need time, this manager will need patience, he will need backing from supporters and by the football club on a financial level. But the snobbery that I'm seeing on Twitter is dangerous. And it's coming from agenda, I think, it's coming from bias, and some people are stuck in their ways. Now, I'm not going to call out individuals because I don't think there are individuals. Well, there probably are, but I don't need to do that, basically. However, let's just get behind this manager. I said it on Twitter, shift the agenda, shift the bias, let's get behind this man, because he might not be the first choice. I didn't really have a first choice because it was so hard to tell who even was a potential candidate. They were changing every single day. However, all of that aside, let's forget about that. Liam Manning is the new manager of Oxford United, and like I said, given the tools, the time, the backing, this really could work. Of course, there's no guarantee. No manager appointment is a guarantee. But when you give him the opportunity to be successful, there's no reason why he can't be successful. He's not coming on his own. He's going to bring in Chris Hogg, who was his assistant manager at MK Dons. I think he also is really exciting as well. Definitely gets along well. Now, the cheap option comes back in. I know we're going to move on from negativity, but there is a bit of a weird argument about it being the cheap option. That is ludicrous. That is wrong. Other managers were also unemployed that were definitely linked to the football club and definitely had interviews over the last 2 weeks to replace Carl Robinson as head coach. Of course, wages, salary, but that isn't what this is all about. The cheap option debate was, can we do a full clear out, get rid of the current coaches, bring in a completely different set of individuals? I think that's quite dangerous to do in the middle of a season or with 10 games to go. I think you've got to keep the people that are there right now. Of course, a new head coach, bring his assistant into the club, and then in the summer, we then see that overhaul and sort of oversee that overhaul with players and coaches. Doing it now is so dangerous. In a crisis, when it is pretty much now a 10-game season, and we are in survival mode, making that call is really, really quite challenging. I think it's the right one to keep everybody where they are, of course, with new ideas, new faces, new voices, and then in the summer, it gets assessed again. Because, there needs to be some new appointments, not just on the coaching team, the recruitment team as well. And Liam Manning will need that backing. But to do that now in this sort of weird sort of financial reasoning for it, I think that is completely wrong. He definitely shone in the interview process. Of course, I don't know that from first-hand information, but you can tell. And there were lots of interview processes. And also, just by listening to this man, he put on a show in some of these interviews. And not because he's, dancing and singing, but because he's so clever and he knows exactly what he's saying. He thinks before he says, which has been I'm not going to call anyone out, but there's been arguments to suggest that previous people in that role haven't done that. So, let's be really excited by that. Now, this could be taken completely out of context, and I hope it doesn't, but purely through words, and of course, actions do speak louder than words. He does remind me of Eddie Howe in the way that he expresses his thoughts to the media. Now, I'm not looking at the coaching side of it. There's no doubt Eddie Howe is a far better and more experienced manager than Liam Manning, but the way that he talks, the way that he shows what he's about in the media, the way that he does use his words very, very well, there is a slight similarity for me there. Go and watch the interview. You might disagree. Let me know in the comment section down below with everything I'm going to say during this episode. But that is what I'm getting from him. Very, very methodical. I said it right at the start of the episode. That's the word that comes back. Interesting, fascinating, insightful. Those words excite me. They really, really do. And I think there are a few similarities there. Now, something else that came up quite often when speaking about Liam Manning was his desire to give young players a chance. He was the academy manager at Ipswich, at West Ham United, and of course he was part of the City Group, of course, who thrive nurturing and developing young talent, often credited for the influence, of course, of Declan Rice, who was at West Ham at the time where he was academy manager. We've got a really, really good youth system with some really exciting young players. Gudrun Donker already becoming a big part of that first team, but also others that are creeping their way into the squad and training regularly with that first team squad. They could really be given a chance and thrive under the management of Liam Manning. And of course, the elephant in the room is he's got a huge challenge ahead of him. The areas that need to be sorted out just go on and on and on. And the work that has to be done can only be described as astronomical. But purely looking at the short term, we have to be in survival mode. We're 3 points from the bottom four, and that has to be the focus. Get the confidence of these players back. Get them playing the football that they can play. There's quality in that side. Is it the finished article? Absolutely not. But there is quality in there. So as fans, we have to be united and get behind our new head coach, Liam Manning, whether he was your preferred option or not. The reality is, it doesn't really matter. We need this to be successful. He is the head coach of our football club, and let's just wish him the best of luck. Let's move on to how Liam Manning could set up this Oxford United squad and what are his principles as a head coach. Now, I must say a massive thank you to Hancock Analysis on Twitter for large parts of this research. Jack is a genius at what he does. Definitely go and check him out. He did a deep dive into Liam Manning when he was linked to the Pompey job only a couple of months ago, and a large part of the work that has been done is from him. So thank you so much to Jack, a legend on Twitter. Now, most likely, Manning will operate with the 3-4-3, which works quite well, I think, with the current squad. I will come to a potential lineup that I think could work with the current players and the system in just a few moments' time. He plays an extremely high line and assists his centre-backs to play out from the back. He's aggressive offensively and defensively, and assists his side to play on the front foot. We spoke earlier about a front-footed, high-pressing, possession-based side. That is what Liam Manning wants his team to do. He plays with principle instead of system. Now, this is really interesting. He spoke about this, I think, on an interview with Coach's Voice. Principle over system. Basically meaning he will provide the solutions to his players in training, but the decisions and the timing of those solutions come down to the players. They have to make those decisions. He's not going to tell them what to do. It's down to a player making a situation as if they were in a real-life, high-intensity match situation. He demands his players to be comfortable with the ball and just play with ultimate control. Ultimate control. He wants his players to be in control of the game, in control of themselves and the football. Last season, MK Dons had the highest passes per sequence out of any club in the league. He almost hates the long ball and the directness of the game. He wants short, sharp passing with a brilliant element of build-up play. He creates challenges for his players, gives them an idea of sort of maybe how to run with something, but then the feedback, he wants to be questioned on it. He wants to be questioned on how he can be better and how he can get the best out of his current squad. So on the screen right now, it's a potential Liam Manning Oxford United 11. I'm going to run through the key areas of the field under Liam Manning. First and foremost, I'm going to highlight the right centre-back position, and in particular, Sam Long in this case. We need this player to be the most comfortable on the ball and possess great pace. I think right now, when looking at the defenders we've got, we'll come on to recruitment potentially in the summer, but looking at now and the 10 games that he's going to have in charge, Sam Long looks to be the best option. He's not rapid, but he's certainly not slow, and he is comfortable on the ball. I think Sam Long could fit that really well, especially, like I said, in the short term, question marks going forward. But right now, let's look at the problem in front of us. I think Sam Long is very comfortable in playing that role. Now, ideally, the whole back line should be pacey, should possess a good amount of pace. And at the moment, that seems to be a slight issue. And due to the high line being so high, we can't be caught out. And slow centre-backs will be caught out and exposed in behind and on the break. And for me, that is a concern. That is a concern with Finley. Moore will come on to Brown. They can't all not play. I think Brown is a slight exception to that. I think he probably can play in this system. But Moore and Finley, Moore is a good ball-playing defender, but I think his pace could let him down. Finley, he's not slow, but his ball-playing certainly is not up to scratch. Maybe he could be coached into being better on the ball, but at 27 years of age, you're going to completely change your game. I'm not entirely sure. I have to wait and see. Also, on the central defenders, it's quite often they're going to be asked to split, especially out of possession, looking to build attacks from a high and wider situation, allowing the wing-backs to play almost as wingers and play quite high and wide. In this case, Fleming and Anderson will be asked to play that role. Finally, on the defence, a ball-playing goalkeeper is really important. We speak about Jack Stevens, Simon Eastwood and McGinty, all being potential options as the goalkeeper. A ball-playing goalkeeper, comfortable with his feet, is going to be really important. At times, he's going to be asked to play as almost an extra outfield player in the build-up to an attack. Very confident, very comfortable. It's going to be interesting. Who's going to get the nod between the sticks? We do have options, but that's really important to mention. A ball-playing goalkeeper is crucial in a Liam Manning system. Now, moving on to the midfield, on the ball, we have to be comfortable in possession. Bate, Brannigan, McGuane, for me, are actually really good options. We've got some good, technically gifted, gritty players. Of course, Bate is on loan from Leeds United, but Brannigan and McGuane, we do have on a permanent basis. They can do that role. They really can do that role. In a system with a 3-4-3, two midfielders probably enough, but we could see something a little bit different. Brannigan, McGuane long term, but certainly Bate, how he's been playing this season, has got to be in there. But generally, looking at our midfielders, they could be fine under Manning. Probably won't be an area that will be ripped up in the summer. Beating the mid-block is something that he bangs on about all the time, Liam Manning, and the way he wants his style to play is effective using the midfielders and the switch to the opposite wing-backs. Patience and proactivity is crucial. It's really, really key, being patient and proactive in the way that, again, they defend, but also going forward and using the spread of play from wing-back to wing-back, and also using the midfield in that sort of non-long ball, non-directness way is also something that he really likes to see from his team. The wide players are also just as important, playing inside quite a lot of the time, drifting inside to create and also carve openings and maybe even score themselves. Scott Twine was the master at that. Amazing goal contributions last season. Under Liam Manning, he was unstoppable at times. He was exactly that, drifting inside, playing as almost a wide attacking midfielder, but also can play and take players on in a direct sense, but taking wing-backs on, if you like, depending on who's playing against him. But someone who's comfortable in regaining, keeping hold of the ball. I think Goodrum could also do that. Goodrum and Brown, they've got the ability to do that. I think Brown's technically so gifted. He needs confidence, of course he does. But in this system, I think Liam Manning could do that. I've realised I keep speaking about system when he says principle over system. But I think what he's trying to say is that's how he wants to decide to play. But I think in terms of a formation, I should use that word, formation. In this formation, Brown and Goodrum, I think, could really thrive. And then looking at the striker, we need a hard-working pressing forward who can press from the front. It's going to be a high defensive line, but also it's going to be a high attacking line as well, with the likes of Brown, Goodrum, and whoever plays in those wide areas, and the wing-backs. We need a focal point. Ideally, if they could score goals, that would be good. We certainly need a striker in the summer. I think we probably will be going and getting out at least one, definitely two centre-forwards who can ideally hit the back of the net, but somebody who's willing to run and never give up, because we need that real focal point, but also aspect of press from the front line. Now, has he got all of the ingredients to be successful at Oxford at this current point? Definitely not. Absolutely he doesn't, but these are the players. This is what we're going to have to deal with. It certainly is a project, and in the summer, there probably will be and definitely needs to be a big overhaul, but we can't wait for that. We've got to look at the short-term situation and get ourselves out of trouble now, and there certainly is quality in this squad to do so. Let's see what happens, but this is a brief look at how Liam Manning could set up Oxford United and what are his key principles as a head coach. So what are my final thoughts on the appointment of Liam Manning as the new Oxford United head coach? If you couldn't tell at the start, you should do now. I'm excited by it. I really, really am. He's young, exciting, well-spoken, well-respected. I think he could succeed at the football club. I think he really, really could, and I hope he does. With all of my heart, I hope he really does succeed. Of course, there's no guarantee. He'll need time. He'll need the backing. He'll need the support of the fans. And with all of those things, this could be the right one. This really could be the right one. I hope it is. With all my heart, I really do hope it is. He clearly does interview extremely well, and in the interview process, he did do, clearly a very good job. He's got the job. He signed the contract. If we can do that, then I think there's going to be a very busy summer ahead of us if we do stay up, and a really, really exciting future. And that is making me smile. And Oxford have very rarely made me smile in the last couple of weeks and months. So thank you, Liam, for doing that. Let me know in the comment section down below if you did enjoy this episode. Please do leave a like and subscribe. Not normally focusing on just Oxford, but in this case, I think it does deserve an episode. Hopefully, I have incited a few people. If I have, like I said, please do the different things to support the channel and myself. Until next time, I've been Jack. This has been the Unfan Podcast. I'll see you all very, very soon. See you in a bit.